That softness you feel right now as you touch your smooth skin is actually the last remnant of the longest and most brutal war in human history. That stainless steel razor sitting in the bathroom, that scented wax strip you've stuck to your legs, or that high-tech laser beam you're aiming at your skin. For you, these are just part of an ordinary Tuesday morning routine, a few insignificant minutes spent in front of the mirror. But have you ever wondered where this obsession with cleanliness, this desire to be hairless, came from, and how it was passed down to us? Now, let's rewind time, all the way back 70,000 years. We're going far beyond the Neolithic era and the agricultural revolution, back to that wild and dark dawn when human consciousness was just beginning to awaken. Imagine yourself in the middle of a vast, untouched forest, under a biting cold that cuts through your skin like a knife. Clothing hadn't even been invented yet. No one knew what thread was. All the mammals around you, the deer you'll hunt, the bison chasing you, and those massive saber-toothed tigers that could prey on you at any moment, all of them hide behind the thick, lush, protective fur that nature has bestowed upon them to survive in this ruthless world. Hair. But you, right in the middle of that wild ecosystem, are completely naked, hairless, and utterly defenseless. The human body is covered in thin, hairless skin, as if in blatant defiance of nature's rules. You probably thought, based on the documentaries you've watched, that people back then were covered in hair from head to toe, like monkeys, and that they didn't care about it at all. But you're completely wrong. 70,000 years ago, humanity launched its greatest, most radical, and most painful rebellion against nature's order, voluntarily ridding itself of body hair. So why would a living creature want to destroy, with its own hands and through great pain, the very natural fur that protects it from freezing cold, thorns, and predators? This wasn't a beauty craze, nor was it a fashion trend. It was a struggle to survive on that fine line between life and death. Grug, our tribe's hunter, has been tracking a mammoth's footprints for days in the deepest, most treacherous parts of the forest. Grug's face, chest, and legs are covered in thick, matted hair that hasn't been cut in months. From the outside, he might look like a true ruler of the wild, but beneath that fur, things are completely different. It's a living hell. The spaces between those long, thick hairs are quite literally walking, living nightmares. Thousands of hungry lice, fleas, and ticks have latched on to Grug's skin, devouring him alive and sucking his blood. This wasn't just unbearable itching. In those days, getting infested with lice meant contracting a deadly disease transmitted through the blood, one with no cure that would decimate the tribe. To make matters worse, Grug had just waded through an icy river while chasing his prey, and the hair on his chest and legs was soaking wet. Outside, the temperature is 30 degrees below zero, and the wind is cutting like a knife. Within minutes, that wet fur turns into blocks of ice on his skin, beginning to freeze Grug's very heart and drain his body heat. So that fur isn't a source of warmth for Grug. It's a death trap he's carrying on his back, one that could kill him at any moment. Shivering, Grug collapses onto the pebbles by the riverbank. He has neither a moisturizing cream nor a steel knife. Just two hard, sharp clamshells washed ashore by the current of the river. Breathless, he takes the shells between his fingers, bringing their tips together like tweezers. He squeezes the stiff, frozen hairs on his chest between those two petrified shells, and with enough force to tear the flesh away, rips them out by the root in a single stroke. Tears stream from his eyes, his breath catches in his throat from the pain, and a primal scream rises from his chest. But he doesn't stop. He continues to skin himself alive, because he knows that the pain he will endure in that moment is far less severe than freezing to death or being slowly consumed by parasites.
Humanity first learned to cleanse and smooth its skin by tearing off its own flesh and confronting that pain. But human intelligence is not static. It always seeks a way out to escape pain. The savage, mind-numbing pain of being flayed alive forced our ancestors to tame the nature's most dangerous, most mysterious stone, obsidian. That cursed stone, jet black and glass-like, that gushes from the Earth's depths during volcanic eruptions. Grug picks up this stone and strikes a hard rock with fierce rage, shattering it into pieces. The resulting shards, with their thin, jagged edges, are 10 times more deadly and 10 times sharper than even the sharpest scalpels used by surgeons in modern hospitals today. Grug presses the sharp edge of that volcanic glass against his dry, cracked, and frost-tightened skin. In a world without mirrors, where you can only see your reflection in murky river waters, you scrape your face with that deadly glass in your hand.
The slightest tremor of your hand means severing your carotid artery and bleeding to death on the cave floor within seconds. There's no lather, no soap, not a single drop of oil to soften the skin. Just the freezing cold of the stone and the tightness of his bare skin. As he scrapes away, along with the hair that falls out, a thin trickle of blood seeps from the marks left by the stone, turning his face into a bright red wound. But Grug can't stop, because that smoothness is the only thing that prevents an enemy from grabbing you by the beard in close combat or tribal wars and slitting your throat in a single stroke. While the men struggled with these deadly stones, the women were searching for more permanent, more radical solutions. When they discovered the power and chemistry of fire, they learned not just to scrape the hair off the surface, but to destroy it beneath the skin. They collected the ashes left over from burning oak wood, mixed them with hot water and animal fat, and turned them into a mud-like paste. And they smeared this mixture all over their bodies. That ash, rich in alkali, chemically dissolved the hair on the skin, while also scorching the underlying skin like a first-degree burn. That most modern hair removal cream you buy at the store today is in fact nothing more than a tamed version of that acidic paste that chemically dissolved the skin thousands of years ago. Time flowed as swiftly as a river. Those primitive caves and wild forests gradually gave way to massive pyramids, magnificent temples, and marble palaces. By the time we reached the lands of ancient Egypt, this primitive and savage struggle for survival had given way to a full-fledged religion of hairlessness, a societal obsession. For the Egyptians, having even a single hair on one's body was equivalent to ceasing to be human and descending to the level of an animal. Pharaohs, priests, and noblewomen had their entire bodies shaved completely smooth from head to toe. Hair was filth, a parasite, and above all, a sign of belonging to the lower class, a mark of slavery. To achieve this flawless smoothness, they made the great discovery that is shaking the cosmetics world today: sugar wax. Egyptian women boiled sugar, water, and lemon juice in large cauldrons to create a sticky, dark paste. They spread this hot liquid over their bodies, and once it dried, they pulled it off in one swift motion, ripping the hairs out by the root. For them, this was not torture, but the only way to draw closer to the gods and to be holy and pure. When we moved to the Roman Empire, this desire for smoothness transformed into a full-fledged battle for social status and a display of power. The screams echoing through the dim, steamy marble rooms of those massive bathhouses on the streets of Rome were not those of gladiators or tortured criminals, but Roman aristocrats undergoing beauty treatments. Roman bathhouses employed special slaves known as alipils, who were trained solely for this purpose and had tweezers on their hands. These slaves' job was to remove even the tiniest hair from the bodies of the wealthy patrons who visited the bathhouses. And the methods they used were a complete nightmare. The Romans would pour hot oven ashes directly onto the skin to burn off the hair. They were literally scorching the skin. As if that pain weren't enough, they concocted unimaginable mixtures which would go down in medical history to prevent the hair from growing back. Bat blood, frog bile, and most terrifying of all, suligan, pure arsenic. They slathered these chemical pastes containing the deadly poison on their legs and chests every week in the pursuit of a smooth appearance. Many were slowly poisoning themselves without even realizing it. Their internal organs failed, and they were buried at a young age. But walking among those marble columns, flaunting their spotless smooth legs to project status, was far more alluring than death's cold breath. Humanity had gone as far as ruthlessly poisoning its own bodies just to be accepted by society and appear powerful. Now leave all this crazy, pain-filled chronology behind and return to the present, to your own bathroom, that safe space. That smooth face you see in the mirror, those clean arms, legs, or underarms, they are actually the final act of a massive 70,000-year-old massacre, a legacy of pain. You think that today you're simply running that razor across your skin and going on those dates just to look attractive to the opposite sex, to wear fancier clothes, or just to feel clean in the modern sense. But what you're actually doing is a virtual imitation, adapted to the modern world, of that ancient fear of survival, etched into the deepest recesses of your consciousness and your genes. That primal hidden urge inside you is still trying to protect you from lice, from freezing to death, from being ostracized by the tribe, and from appearing wild. We are a lucky generation, living in the most comfortable era in history, one that can completely escape pain and remove body hair in seconds with a touch of a finger. But whenever that razor touches your skin a little too quickly, whenever a small cut forms and you feel a slight sting, stop, take a deep breath, and remember that little sting you feel is on the exact same frequency, in the exact same genetic code as the scream of Grug, who 70,000 years ago on the banks of an icy river tore at his own flesh with a seashell in his hand, his eyes welling up with pain. That shiny, fancy concept you call civilization is actually nothing more than a line as delicate and fragile as the razor's sharp, thin edge. So which era's pain are you enduring today as you stand before that mirror? Is it Grug's raw struggle for survival with his clamshell, or the obsession with smoothness that the modern world has trapped you in? Which is more ruthless? If you want to keep digging into these raw, harsh truths of what it means to be human, the ones we've forgotten and buried under concrete along with me, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the Cave Wall. We'll keep carving new stories into the cave wall. See you in our next Cave Wall post.